Can I put you?
Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Mental Brew podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Jim Corr. Jim, how are you?
Lovely to talk to you, Dennis. I'm very good, thank you.
So obviously enough, the name is, synonymous at this stage with Irish music. Jim is part of the massively successful Corrs. Jim, starting off, why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? A love of music. A love of music. I mean, music was a hobby for me to begin with. And like I always say, anybody that is able to make an occupation of their hobby is very, very lucky.
Hmm.
And I count myself in that. Uh, just as being very grateful and very lucky to do what we do. And it's been a wonderful life so far.
Brilliant. I can remember growing up and seeing the chorus on the late on Top of the Pops, on CDUK, all these kind of massive shows, right? So you and the rest of the band, you were in our homes, in our cars, listening to music, CDs, tapes, rooms, and everything. What kind of feeling does that give you, knowing that you might be traveling the world, but there could be someone in uh, England, Ireland, throwing on a chorus album and listening to going to work or listening to it at home, chilling out. What kind of feeling does that give you?
Well, I think eventually when we became successful, which took a long, long time, that probably people don't realize how long we were actually working at it before things actually started to get moving. Because I mean, we had the band together 5 years. We were writing, we were recording, um, we were rehearsing, we were doing some live performances in our hometown of Dundalk, and with nothing happening. I mean, we had um, there were some overtures made by some record companies, but nobody was biting.
Yeah,
Um, so I suppose when we did eventually become successful, it's I mean we took nothing for granted
yeah.
because it must be particularly difficult for artists who are suddenly catapulted from nothing into fame and into success and into everybody knowing you and wanting a part of you and wanting to know what you're doing. And that was a very slow process for us.
Okay.
So I think it probably kept us very, very grounded. But at the same time, it was a sense of relief because at last we had gained the success that we'd been working so hard, so diligently to achieve. So when it did happen, it was kind of like a sigh of relief, at last.
Yeah. And obviously enough, as I mentioned, I'm kind of mindset coach working with business and athletes and whatnot, right? So a big word for me is kind of performance. In your realm, in your industry, in terms of, performing and peak performance, what does that mean for you?
Well, I suppose a peak performance, again, it's all about honing your craft, getting as good as you possibly can. And it's about repetition and practice as much as you possibly can do. I mean that is it. I mean, you can't. There's no shortcuts really. There's no shortcuts to becoming a you know a decent enough guitarist. There's no shortcuts to becoming a good keyboard player or a drummer or whatever. You have to put in the time, and it also really helps to get coached as well by people that are proficient in what they're doing. Um, so no shortcuts. And yeah, the mentality is very, very important because especially in this business where an awful lot of bands unfortunately don't make it, they fail.
Mm.
Well, I wouldn't say fail, it's not the right word, because you still gain something along the way through the journey. Nothing is lost. It's great experience even if you don't achieve the goals that you want to do. It's all about the journey, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, but uh, uh, so that's just it's very important to have that mentality that you're going to have obstacles come your way,
Yeah.
and you're going to have seemingly insurmountable obstacles come your way that you feel that you're not going to be able to get over. But you can, once you have the mentality to keep going, keep going, keep going, take the knocks as we
Yeah.
did, as we got, we were told we're going to be. We basically thought we were going to be signed with this big record company during those 5 years where we were working away ourselves, and we had a big disappointment from that. And I remember we took a few days after that big disappointment and told that they weren't going to sign us. That I met up with the girls and because we were totally deflated. It's
Yeah.
like five
Right.
five years is a kind of a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Caroline and Andy are still at school, all right. I mean, there's not much we could have really done. So it was kind of, when you think about it in hindsight, it was perfect. But we were nearly at the point of giving up, to be honest.
Oh,
And I met with the girls a couple of days later, and I said, "Girls, we're not giving up.
yeah.
We're not giving up." And they agreed. They said the same. We're going to keep going, keep doing it. And it's I suppose it's when you get big disappointments like that, um, it can put an awful lot of people off, and that's where they have their cutoff point.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's so important to just keep going, and have your goals and focus clearly.
And you kind of mentioned the kind of early journey there, the 5 year period when it kind of nothing maybe happened that you wanted to happen. What was for you? Can you think of one moment where you kind of goes, or where you kind of went, yeah, look, we've made it, or this is going to be huge? Can you think of any particular moment? Was it a certain single? Was it just even before that?
It was kind of, from our perspective, it was kind of gradual steps. There was various different countries around the globe would come in first of all. Like Australia
Okay,
came in on the first album, Australia, and with the single Runaway. Denmark came in. I think France came in as well. So that really gave us great encouragement. And when I say come in, I mean we had they think the album got into the top 20 or whatever.
brilliant.
Um, and so then it was straight over to Australia to do lots of promotion over there and to build upon the momentum. Same in Denmark, and then but we still, with the record company, we were still working all of the other territories.
Okay.
And so, excuse me, sorry, excuse me. I'm not long up. It's kind of early for a musician, but anyway. So yeah, we were just building on that momentum around the world. But it was the second album where we did a remix of the song Dreams. And forgive me if I'm jumping ahead on your questions. You probably got a question about this, but really, it's I suppose we didn't. The point that we realized, okay, we have done it. We have done it. Was when after we did a St. Patrick's Day performance, March the 17th, and it was broadcast live on the BBC. And we had Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac play drums along with Caroline on the
Yeah,
stage in the Royal Albert Hall
yeah,
live. And that was broadcast live. And we'd also coincided with the release of a cover version of the Fleetwood Mac Dreams song,
brilliant.
and that was really it. That's what gave us like a huge leg up, I suppose, in the UK. And you know that's when we felt, okay, at last it's
Yeah.
really working.
That was a brilliant song. Was that on Talk on Corners, if I'm not mistaken? It's
It was put on, not on the initial one, but it was put on
special edition.
subsequent, special edition, exactly, yeah.
I had the original Talk on Corner, brilliant album, and Dreams came out. I loved it. I actually got the special edition just for the Dreams track. It was to this day I love it. I think it's brilliant. It's on one of my favorite dudes. My profile there on YouTube Music, whatever it is, it's on the favorite of that.
Oh,
Um,
good,
and
good.
you mentioned the Royal Albert Hall gig.
Yeah.
I can remember getting that on VHA, VH, or basic videotape, for Christmas. I can't remember the year, but funnily enough, I was knew we were chatting today. I found it on YouTube last night, a HD version, and that Dreams, with Mick Fleetwood was brilliant. Also, the Toss the Feathers, with himself as well, and it was brilliant. It was just such a great gig. And I think I've watched that tape over and over again. And I was like laughing last night. I was saying to my wife, that was now a time where if you like the song, you'd play it, press stop, rewind it, and try and get it again to listen to it again, not necessarily a DVD. Um, but that was, that was a huge hit. And you have covered other artist songs, right? But the one thing I kind of would say is you've always kind of made them your own. Is that a difficult process? Because you obviously heard the original. How hard is it then to put your own kind of slant in it while staying true to the original as well?
Oh, look, it's very important. But there are some songs that it's nearly, sacrilegious, excuse me, nearly blasphemy to kind of take it away too far from its original production.
Yeah,
But I think always you have to try and think about, how do we refresh this and make it different and that's a challenge. And we've got it right with a certain amount of songs. Sometimes we didn't get it right
yeah,
because sometimes we stuck far too close to the original
yeah,
without putting our own stamp on it. And look, I suppose it depends on the producer as well. But I think it's very important to try and just put your own slant um, on music where it's appropriate, where
yeah,
it is appropriate. It's not always appropriate. There are songs that have been performed in a vein that is classic and timeless, and it's kind of dangerous to veer
yeah.
too far from that. So it just depends on the song, I suppose, and it depends on the artist.
Very, oh, that's cool. Very interesting. And in terms of bringing it back, way back now, as I said, like Top of the Pops, CDUK, SMTV Live. So I can remember being a Saturday morning and I'd get up, whatever, half 9, 10 o'clock, and there was people like yourselves, boy bands, Westlife Boys, and all these crowd were on these TV shows. And when one would finish, Top of the Pops would be on, and you could see a performance from the Corrs if they were on or something in the charts. How has the music industry changed now compared to then? Because I must say they're really great memories. And even last night, I just threw in the Core's Top of the Pops, and up came a skit from SMTV Live with Ant and Deck, where there was Ant, Deck, and Kat, the wigs on, and they were kind of taking off the girls, going and said, "We're so beautiful," and you were sitting next to them then as well with the bag. And then the three girls came in and took it over. Like it was really, really funny. But like those shows we don't really have anymore. And I think we're losing something not having them. But from an artist, how has it changed? And is it changed in a good way or a bad way? Like were those things enjoyable? Were they a bit of a chore?
Oh, well, do you know what? Top of the Pops was always a staple in our house on a Thursday night. We were
Yeah,
glued to it at whatever time it was on. It was at 7 o'clock in the evening. But and for that to be discontinued it was very sad
yeah,
because it was a fantastic platform for bands, for new artists. Um, and we really enjoyed doing it. And I suppose it was a very, very special experience for us as well, especially the first time that we landed up on the Top of the Pop stage. I was
yeah,
going, "Oh my God, here we are!" How
yeah,
many times have we watched this show at home, and here
yeah,
we are on the stage, the Top of the Pop stage now. So it was momentous, and it was a wonderful feeling. It's such a pity it's not around anymore. I think it's more kind of talk shows now, isn't it? Um, I don't know if a huge amount of people watch, video channels. But I don't know if videos have the importance that they had, certainly around that time.
yeah,
And certainly after, say, Video Killed the Radio Star, the wonderful Trevor Horn song and production, um, that it kind of all took off then, where it was videos were such an important and integral part of a
yeah.
band's appeal and their projection into the world. And that's all very much changed now. Um, but yeah, it's a little bit sad how it has moved on. But look, you just got to adapt. You got to be
Yeah.
flexible.
And obviously enough, like my wife would tell you I'm murder for this. So if I was walking down the street and I saw Jim Corr, I'd be like, Jesus, Ashton, there's Jim Corr. I'm gonna go over and ask him for a photo, right?
I'm going to
And
go and ask him for money.
And I'd be murder for it, absolutely murder for it. And no, it'd always be respectful. Now, it's not like throwing a camera in someone's face or anything. But how do you deal with that when you're walking down the street and you know people recognize you? And don't get me wrong, you might get some really positive comments, but is that difficult to deal with where people might always want a piece of you for the photo or the autograph or what are your thoughts on that?
Um, it's fine now. I'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, when we reached the height of our fame, and I have to say, I wasn't personally great with it because, like, when I finished work and we were out of the studio or we were out of the TV station, whatever. Like in my head, I'd finished work and I kind of just wanted to relax and
Mm,
maybe just chill or maybe just party with my friends and all of that. But there's no stop. There's no stopping. There would have been photographers, paparazzi outside of any of the clubs, the restaurants that we went to. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy when you expect to be able to kind of switch off. You can't switch off, and uh, God help you if you have a few drinks and you're caught in a slightly inebriated state coming out of a club, uh, as would have perhaps happened to me before. Um, but you just yeah, it's a part of the business. You just got to tolerate it, and also, it can be tough when you're seeing things written about you in the newspapers that are, yourself, that are completely untrue,
yeah,
and it's a difficult aspect. It's like, and it's only when you're on this side of the camera or this side of when you're being written about that you
yeah,
realize uh, how much lies and conjecture and twisting of the truth
yeah,
occurs, within the media. But, at the same time, you got to be very grateful for the media as well, because without them, they certainly aided in our success. There's no doubt about it. It's very, very important. They don't always get it wrong. They do get it right a lot of the time.
yeah.
So
And
yeah, but it's now it's a very different situation for us because it's so much more relaxed, and where there are issues for bands is when you are on the TV all the time,
okay,
and then you get recognized because your
yeah,
face is fresh in people's minds.
yeah,
Now, uh, us, it might be different for Andrea because she's the lead vocalist, and obviously the main focus is going to be on her. But
yeah,
I think that we've got a level of anonymity which we enjoy. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Stick a baseball cap on, put a pair of glasses, walk down the street, whatever. You're not going to get recognized in the same way that we would have done before. Also, it, of course, depends on how you dress. So
yeah.
it's much more relaxed. It's much more enjoyable now. It's much more controlled from our perspective. Um, and yeah, I suppose more so than ever, we're enjoying what we do.
That's brilliant because you're obviously back gigging again, and you're in Cork next week is the sixth, isn't it, or is that the week after? In the next,
Yes, it's
yeah,
the sixth, isn't it? I think it's the sixth. Yeah,
sixth.
really, really looking forward to Cork. Really looking forward. It's going to be the first one of the tour. We're out for a month basically, ending up with an awards ceremony in London, and then that's it for another while.
And like, is was you obviously do it now in your own schedules, you families and parents, and you've lives now outside of the course. And is that like, do you sit down then maybe, would you sit down maybe every year and go, okay, look, we'd love to perform or tour for 1 month of this year, or 1 month of this year, 2 months of this year? I was like, is it all on your own terms now when you want to go out and kind of, meet the fans in terms of gigs and whatnot?
Totally. It's totally on our own terms now. And look, we took a break. Some people think that we broke up. We didn't. We took a break from performing for many years, so that we could raise our children. Sharon's got two wonderful children. Caroline's got three wonderful children. Andrea's got two wonderful children, and I've got one wonderful boy.
Yeah.
And well, he's a man now. Um, it was very, very important for us that we were there for our children. And luckily, with our occupations, we were able to be there fully and give 100% to our
Brilliant.
children, and let the career, let the band, just go to the side temporarily. And so now that we're back, I mean, children are obviously still the priority, but they're a little bit older now, so we're able
Yeah.
to go off and we're touring about roughly about 3 times a year. We'll go
Brilliant.
out, we'll do a month-long tour, roughly, and a bit of recording, whatever. But yeah, we very much manage the situation now, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, because that's actually something Mickey Burns said on his own podcast, that when they tour now, it's kind of max 6 weeks at a time. That it's not the kind of the crazy schedule that was kind of done before. And I think even Five mentioned something that when they were in their peak, they were literally kind of trying to break the whole world at one go, and they said it was completely unsustainable. When you were in that, you know, the Corrs have a hit album, hit single. People want them. People want to consume, interviews, music. Is it difficult to say no then when the record company want to send you to country X for maybe 2 or 3 days, and then you're flying across the world to country Y, and like, was there time where you said, lads, no, this is too much, or does that come with experience, with success?
Yeah, look, there were times where we felt that we were kind of worked to the bone. That's an awful
Yeah.
expression, but um, yeah, yeah, yeah. We did in terms of promotion and live performances. We did 4 continents in 3 weeks. I remember one time.
Wow.
We did a not. We were never out of airplanes or hotels, and that when you're doing that constantly, it really, really wears on you, and especially if you throw jet lag and different
Yeah.
time zones into the mix. Um, and I remember we would get to the likes of Japan. I love going to Japan, but the interviews are quite tough, especially if you've come from GMT UK time.
Yeah.
Uh, and you're getting up when you should be going to bed, and you're trying to go to bed when you should be getting up, and just in terms of the time zone and the jet lag, and the interviews are such that you have your translator, you have your interviewer, you have us being interviewed. So the interviewer will say in Japanese
Yeah.
what their question, the translator will translate, we will answer, and then the translator will translate it back to the interviewer. And it's a long, long, drawn out process. And I just we remember that, and you're on the couch together, and kind of we tend to be listening to the same answers because you
Yeah.
have your, you know, everybody has their answers, and you're just all you want to do is just get into your curl up into your bed,
Yeah.
But it just these are the things you do, especially when you're younger, because you know that there's a goal in sight, there's an end in sight, and that is just part of it. That this is your kind of like you're building the foundations of a
Yeah.
much much bigger thing, which eventually comes.
And you mentioned there you're a father. Now I'm a father of a 19-month-old, and I love getting guests on who are parents. I love just getting an insight into it. Like, obviously now as fathers, right, you want to provide for your kids. You want to kind of show them that you can do whatever you set your mind to, again with the right mindset, as you said. What lessons from your career, and particularly the challenges around it, like what lessons can you impart on your own young fella? Or have you done, sorry, should I say?
Yeah, so I think as parents we have to be very careful because we are incredibly influential um, over our children, and that can be negative or that can be positive. We try to make sure that it's positive. Um, and I've got a wonderful son, Brandon, and he's very likely going to go into the music business himself. He's at music college, uh,
Brilliant.
and he's doing very well at that. In fact, he got two distinctions in his exam and a merit. He did four exam distinctions and merit, and he did very very well. He's a wonderful wee guitarist, and he plays the keyboards as well. And so, I mean, when I'm talking to him about the business, I don't have him under any illusions about the business. It's very tough. It can be cutthroat. Um, and there's unfortunately there's a high failure rate, but you can't really think along those terms, as I
Yeah.
said about how we were years ago when we were starting off. You can't focus on failure. You got to focus on success and the end goal. And so I try to impart on him the importance of discipline and practice and routine and trying to be creative and um, uh, yeah, it's a question for him really, really, as well. But it's very important that you try to give them life skills as well, just to because this world is a pretty crazy world,
Yeah.
and to you need skills to be able to navigate this world properly. And so, yeah, I do my best. As a dad, I suppose. I would have shortcomings like every father, but I aim to do the best that I can.
Yeah, fair play. And going back there to the break he took, was there ever a random time when you were at home and did you ever stick on a Corrs album just to listen back to any particular tracks or anything, or are you kind of were you just like I want a break from the songs and the music for a while?
Well, the most popular tracks, if you can imagine, from the moment of inception, the moment of creativity, where you're working on a chorus or a part. You can imagine that the demos we might have listened to those songs about 1,000 times, and then you get into this proper studio.
Wow.
You might listen to it another 1,000 times, and then you get to perform those songs live. Say, for instance, "Dreams" or
Yeah.
for "Breathless" or whatever. So we tend to like it'd be the last thing that we would put on because
Okay,
we're
right.
kind of a little bit, okay, we've heard this before, maybe
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
5,000 times. So I went through a period of putting on. I love our home album, which
Yeah.
is our own version of Celtic songs and trad tunes, and we love that. And I suppose because it was kind of a little bit niche, I suppose. It did its thing, but because wasn't listening to it every day on the radio, I would tend to stick on songs from that, and also our lesser known tracks, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have put them on as well. But in general, I think I'd be listening to other artists.
Yeah, yeah. I have my phone open here, right? And you mentioned that this was lesser known songs, right? But one of your massive hits, Breathless. It's so on YouTube, it's been listened to 181 million times.
Right. Okay.
Like I'm looking at it here, the song's millions upon millions of listens. So like, you write Breathless, smash hit, and whatever song you want to use in that example as well. Is there pressure then, whether it be internally from yourselves or externally from the record companies or company, to write the next hit? Like you're kind of going, are you always kind of chasing the hit to try and get that hit? And what's that pressure like? So like you have the hit and someone comes in, sits you down, we need another one of them lads. Writing.
Yeah, it was a huge pressure for us. Um, so if you can imagine, we had basically 5 years to write the first album, which was Forgiven Not Forgotten, and to perfect it.
Yeah,
5 years. And then, after we did all of the promotion for that and a little bit of live touring, then the record company said, okay, we need an album in 6 months.
wow.
And so the only thing you can do, and it was their suggestion, and we went along with, was to co-write. So we co-write with people who did. We all went with various different people, and then came back together,
Yeah,
and that was fruitful to a large extent, and interesting. Always interesting working with other people to get different perspectives as well. And songs can be taken down pathways that you wouldn't have necessarily taken them yourself.
yeah,
So yeah, it can be very fruitful, and it was in our case. But huge pressure, huge pressure because you need time and you need the luxury of time to be able to work stuff and massage it through and make sure you're happy with every section. And that's a luxury that we did not have after the first album.
Yeah,
So yeah, at the moment we're writing again, and it's just all on our terms, and there isn't that pressure that was there from the record company. You understand what they're doing; they're trying to build upon the momentum that has been um, that has been done that has been achieved by the first album and all of the hard work that we did on that. So you can understand what they're doing. But yeah, it's not easy, and every single band is faced with that
yeah,
unless they are incredibly prolific and writing songs every day, and which is difficult to do when you're on the road. It's
yeah.
difficult to do, but I think that there are artists out there that were able to do it, like Prince. I don't know what his repertoire, his back catalog was, but it's we were into there thousands of songs. So yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
When you're writing, do you have a particular process? Like, what do you start off with? Is one of you strong in a certain area? Like, and I suppose with that, then if someone's struggling with writer's block, would someone take over or something and try and bring it on and kind of get you out of a hole? I mean, with yourselves now, yourself and the three girls.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've kind of got writing partnerships in the band. Carla would write with Andrea. Sharon kind of tends to write on her own. I'm going to start writing with her as well. And I would write with Andrea mostly.
Okay.
Um, and Andrea would do most of the lyrics. Obviously because she's got to sing them, so she's got to be able to relate to them. So,
Yeah.
and but at the end of the day, when we come together, yes, we're all contributing to each song. We're all writing parts for it,
Yeah.
writing melodies, whatever, to contribute to bring it. So it's very much the process is very much a Corr's creation at the end of the
Yes.
day, even though one or two people may start the song. Um, so so yeah, that's really the way that it works for us.
I loved, and I have it as well, your live album, The Corrs Unplugged. Just class.
Oh,
When
thank you.
oh, I love it. I still have it on my MP3 player. I have all the albums on the MP3 player, but like I love that one. I love Radio. Actually, just when you hear the strings kick in, class. But how does something like that come about? Because at the time, especially the MTV Unplugs was a big deal. Like,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we recorded that in Ardmore Studios in Bray, if I'm correct, in front of a live audience. And we got Bono to come and do a couple of tracks with us, which is great. When the Stars Go Blue, it was one of them. And I think Ronnie Wood joined us as well. We got in, yeah, Ronnie joined us as well for that one. But it was great. Again, it gives another kind of fresh perspective on songs that we'd created, and working with the orchestra was just very, very special. So it was also kind of nerve-wracking as well, because you might only have two goes on each song, and you're playing these completely live. So
yeah.
um, there's no chance of overdubbing or anything like that. Uh, but yeah, that was a great experience for us to do, and yeah, delighted to be able to have done that.
And you kind of mentioned there, maybe nerves and whatnot. How is it performing in front of 50, 60, 80,000 people? Like, what's that like? And how do you deal with those nerves? 'Cause obviously enough, our minds can be kind of cruel in a way that where a negative thought will pop in and we're kind of going, Jesus, Jim, you're not really feeling great today. You mightn't be able to pull this one off. And like it's a nightmare, like, you know what I mean? So how do you deal with that?
Oh, you just give me a flashback to a gig that I had recently, um, in the Royal Albert Hall, and I had exactly that situation. And this happens to artists from time to time. Now the girls were brilliant; they performed absolutely brilliantly, and sung brilliantly. whereas I was just stuck in my head. It was a Teenage Cancer Trust gig,
Yeah.
and I was just stuck in my head for the whole gig, and I was kind of going, oh, if you get it into your head as a musician, you think, what if I make a mistake here? You're going to make a mistake, and who cares if you make a mistake anyway? But I think we can be quite hard on ourselves in terms of performance and in terms of wishing to achieve perfection, which is
Yeah.
unobtainable. But I remember with that particular gig, there also was like a very famous producer who I would have looked up to, and I love his workload, and he was in the audience, and I knew that, and that had me under extra pressure as well. So
Yeah.
I did not have the best performance.
Okay.
That particular gig in the Royal Albert Hall Teenage Cancer Trust, but the girls were great. It was still great, and that's the way that it just happens. But when you're when you're going from gig to gig across various continents, it can become a bit of a blur. Okay, here we are again, and once you're getting used to playing in front of a certain crowd, a large crowd, you just get used to it. I think that we would still get a little bit nervous, maybe the first and the second gig.
Okay.
We maybe be, especially coming out of rehearsals, because you can rehearse till the cows come home, as they say,
Yeah.
right? But everything changes when you're in front of an audience. So that'll be a little bit the case in Cork,
Yeah.
because it'll be the very first gig of the tour. So we'll still be kind of in our heads, maybe, just getting used to things.
Yeah.
And if we've changed up the songs or whatever, just it'll take us a few gigs to settle into it
Yeah.
properly. But so the first performance would be very special for us, obviously the first gig. Um, but you just got to get on with it and do it and enjoy it as best you can.
Can I ask you a question? 'Cause I always wondered this. So you look at we say Ticketmaster, and you'll see the chorus. Put in the chorus, you'll see their list of gigs. Would you do so? Like, say now you've got a gig on the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, just for talk's sake, right? Would you always do a sound check before the gig on like the eighth and the ninth, even though you played the day before?
Oh yes.
Okay. I
Oh yeah, it's
always
very
wonder that.
important for us. It's like a warm up. It's like a
Okay.
warm up for us, and we'll be thinking, okay, I did, I need to go over and redo a song that I did last night because I made that mistake, or this happened, or
Yeah.
whatever. And so you'll go and you'll perform that in at the rehearsals, at the sound check. But it's very important to do a sound check to make sure everything is working
Okay.
properly, that everything's plugged into the right
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
input. But also because we're working with
Okay.
in-ear monitors, that has to be fine-tuned. The levels of all the different
Right.
uh,
Okay.
instruments on the stage, and so and we work with an absolutely wonderful team of people. They are so good, and Nico, our monitoring engineer, is exceptionally good. And so when we come onto the stage, it's practically perfect as it is. We might need to
Yeah.
tweak one or things here, but he knows what he's doing. All of the team that we work with, even that, if you can imagine, even if the microphone is slightly different distance from the snare drum than it was the night before, that's going to change the mix for everybody. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? So the microphone will have to be at a quite a precise distance from the instrument that it's picking up.
Right.
Otherwise it's going to change. So it's very important to do that so that we can iron out those little things that aren't quite right that we need to tweak, and also to just warm up. It's a warm up for us,
Yeah.
so
And,
that we do come onto the stage. We're kind of hitting the ground running.
and would you sound check the entire show, or would it be like full bits of songs or little bits, or what way would that work?
No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't. But I think that's probably one of the mistakes that we made in the Royal Albert Hall, because we sound checked the entire show. No,
Okay.
we would do about maybe 6 songs, and we do some from the acoustic section as well, where Caroline comes out from behind the drums and goes from the stage onto the cajon.
Okay.
Um, So no, you don't retire yourself completely. No. So we do several songs and leave it at that. And we always end up the last one we do in the sound check is always going to be the first song. So we'll do the
Okay.
opening track into whatever song is going to be. Generally, it's Only When I Sleep.
Okay, very good. And you mentioned success, and I've got the stats here in front of me. Um, you have sold millions upon millions of records. Um, Number one, so Breathless was a Grammy nominated UK number one. Um, Runaway, What Can I Do, Only When I Sleep So Young. So like massive, massive hits, massive success, right? What success for the chorus now going forward? Is it in terms of number ones? Is it ticket sales? Is it just enjoying the experience?
Well, we're very, as I said before, we're very, very grateful for what we do. And I think we need to be, uh, we feel great when we're utilizing our talents.
Yeah,
Um, and so we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. I can say that we've been doing a little bit of recording at the moment
brilliant.
over in the UK, and that has gone so well. And I'm hoping that we'll be doing some more recording in the near future. And I can't mention who we're working with just yet. We'll keep it as a surprise, but put it this way, it's someone that we've always wanted to work with. For a
Brilliant.
long time, we got to work with this particular person, and he's amazing. And so we'll see. So that's it. We hope to release some new material, and
Fantastic.
and as I say, we'll probably go out. We'll be doing about three kind of mini tours a year. We'll probably keep that going for as long as we can until we get fed up. But and it's just lovely to be able to share with an audience that we still have, and we're so grateful that we still have uh, such a large audience out there that love our music. We're really grateful for that and
And
humbled.
we're nearly done there, Jim. I have a couple more questions. What was it about the chorus that I suppose endeared them to so many people? I don't know you had your 5 years you're trying to make it, but when you took off, you're a massive, massive band. When people talk about big bands coming from Ireland, they talk about U2, they talk about Boyzone and Westlife, and they absolutely talk about the Corrs. The script are probably in there as well. Um, but like, what was it about the Corrs that was so unique for ye? And obviously enough, I think it is still so unique. We've never seen anyone since similar to you. What was it about you that, or what is it about you that endeared you so much to the world?
I suppose it's a variety of things, but mainly it's the sound, which is a kind of a fusion between Celtic pop and rock. Um, that has appealed to an awful lot of people, and uh, just thankfully they like the songs, they like our creations. It certainly doesn't hurt that the girls look so well. It doesn't hurt. Um, and at the end of the day, I think that we are pretty grounded. We just have been. We were raised very, very well by our parents, Jean and Jerry, who unfortunately aren't with us anymore. Um, and we've got a deep appreciation for what we do, and we're grateful. We never take it for granted, and we very much appreciate that there's still such a huge audience for us out there. Um, yeah, I don't know what else I got to add to that.
And I have five quick fire questions and we're done, right? So,
No
what
problem.
is the best ever venue you played?
The best ever venue. Oh my God, there's been so many. There has been so many. Yeah. Um, oh, some of the early gigs to like very intimate audience, mainly family and friends, were
Yeah,
very special to us because we were starting off, and
yeah,
we would have been unbelievably nervous. The likes of Whelan's in Dublin,
yeah, okay.
that other place on the Keys. What was that called? Anyway, And then, the homecoming gigs are always very special for us. Lansdowne Road was very special for us. Any of the Irish gigs that we do in front of a home audience, like Cork, will be very special for us. Dublin will be very special. Um, but uh, uh, where else? I mean, there's just been so many.
Yeah,
Yeah, what a gorgeous, fantastic venue, say Red Rocks in Colorado, in near Denver. It's absolutely an amazing venue
yeah,
with the backdrop of the beautiful mountains. Um, but look, we're very lucky to say that we've played some fantastic venues, and long may it continue.
absolutely. And what is your favorite core song to perform live?
Favorite core song to perform live. It will probably always be the freshest song. Say if we
Yeah,
add a new song into the mix, um, like we did for the Southeast Asian tour, I think probably about 2 years back, we added in "Don't Say You Love Me," and that goes down so well, especially over in Southeast Asia and Australia. And it was wonderful to add that in and to get the feedback from the audience. But I suppose when you play the likes of Runaway and you have the entire audience singing along, and in fact,
yeah,
Andrea stops singing, she lets the audience sing along through the first quarter of the song, and it's fantastic that they would do that. It's wonderful to get that feedback, that direct feedback from the
yeah.
audience in front of you. Um, so yeah, and we really love doing the exciting trad stuff, the up tempo trad stuff as well. You know,
House of Feathers is brilliant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We
That's
that's
brilliant.
that's the closing tune. Yeah, closing song. Yeah,
And what's your favorite Corrs album?
I would like to think that my favorite Corrs album will be the next one that we do, but
Yeah.
the, but probably the Home album.
Okay.
I love that. That was produced by Mitchell Froome, and we recorded that in Dublin. And I love the likes of Spancil Hill and Buchel no Nerna
Yeah.
um, on that. It's just, and then it's probably one of the least well known of our albums. But yeah, I love the Home album.
Is there one song that another artist has written that you wish the Corrs had written?
Oh, there would be many. Fields of Gold by Sting. With Sarah McLachlan did an absolutely beautiful version of that. Um, we thought that we did a very good version of Phil Lynnett's Old Town. We
That
still
was
perform
brilliant.
that live, actually. We still
That was
perform that.
brilliant.
Yeah. But is there anyone that we haven't done? I'm sure there's loads. I can't. There isn't one particular one that comes to mind, though. But there'll
Yeah.
be loads of songs that we would love to have a crack at. Yeah. Yeah.
And what has been the most surreal moment for your time in the band?
Most surreal moment, I suppose, when you find yourself on the stage with, say, after a variety performance, or where there's loads of other artists on the stage, and you're looking around you, and there's Elton John, and there's uh, Sting, and blah blah blah. That can be a kind of a surreal moment, when
Yeah.
you're around with these very famous, hugely accomplished artists. You're sharing the stage with. We had a fantastic experience when we were playing in South Africa for Nelson Mandela. It was called the 46664 concert, and it was in aid of uh, people suffering with AIDS. And we performed with Queen, with Annie Lennox, with U2 were there, Peter Gabriel was there, lots of
Wow.
other artists. That was a very, very special experience to be doing that, to be on the same stage as all of those wonderful, wonderful artists. So yeah, we count ourselves very lucky.
Jim, that's all my questions. But I want to say a massive thanks to Andy Mackin for kind of putting us in touch. I hope he sorts you out with one of the rooms to stay in the new hotel when he opens it up. Um,
He's a great guy. I'm delighted with his success. And you know what? The Derry Hill Hotel, which he acquired and which he's doing up, it's not open just yet. Uh, my parents nearly bought that at one point. In fact, they were, it was
really?
a kind of it was a bidding process, and they missed out. Somebody bid a little bit more on them, and it was I don't think they found out what the final cost was. But anyway, they didn't get it. But I always loved the Derry Hill Hotel because that's where I grew up. My parents would go up; they'd be playing there. They'd be
Yeah,
playing in their bands. The band that they had was called Sound Affairs, so they'd be doing weddings in the big ballroom there, and I'd be there and I'd be running around the place, and it was kind of like it was heavenly
yeah,
that environment. It just and it's it's kind of it's part of my childhood, and the fact that Andy has got it now and he's painstakingly doing it up, and I imagine at huge cost and meticulously preserving, the stained glass and the wood throughout the hotel. It is going to be beautiful, I've no doubt, and I just hope that it is a huge success for him. And I too have asked him to give me a room on the opening night, and I'll stay there with my girlfriend. And
brilliant. Well, look, come here. Hopefully now we'll sort you out because he owes you a favour now after this. Um, Jim, thanks so much for me. Kind of growing up as kind of watching and listening to the chorus. For me to get the chance to stand here and chat to you is amazing. So I just want to say thanks so much for giving me your time. And I wish you all the best with your new tour, and I wish you all the best with your writing. And hopefully, we'll see something out from you very, very soon.
Thank you so much, Dennis. It's been great, and let's do it again sometime soon. You take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you.